Hello everyone, I'm Faral Imran and today I'll be starting the course which is Learn Python in 4 hours. So let's get started. At first, as you can see, it's for people who are like complete beginners who know just the name or they have not heard the name before. So they're starting. Are you guys excited? So at the start, I'll first play from the start. So what is Python? Python, before, as you heard, it's the name of a snake also. But here we're talking about a popular programming language which is used in various applications. And it's an easy language. It is beginner friendly because as it has a simple English syntax. So because of that, it is an easy language learner. Python can be used for simple tasks such as plotting or for more complex tasks like machine learning. So plotting is what is that? Like plotting a graph when you give the coordinates, the x coordinates and the y coordinates, and what is the equation. According to that equation, you plot or you draw a graph. So that is telling about that Python can be used for it, and it can also be used for complex tasks like machine learning. Now, machine learning is that you're artificially giving the machine the ability to learn, so that you're giving them like a data to train, and then on new data it tests on it and then it keeps on improving. Now now who was the creator of Python? Now Python was created by Guido van Rossum in 1999. And why he got the name Python? He was inspired by the British troupe called Monty Python. He was born and raised in Netherlands. He received a master's degree in mathematics and computer science from University of Amsterdam in 1982. He also received a bronze medal, not medal. So, so Guido van Rossum is the one who created Python. Now, he lives in California, and this is the person who created Python. Now, what is Monty Python? As you guys don't know what is Monty Python is a popular, they were also known as the Pythons. They were a British comedy troupe which was formed in 1969. The names were Graham Chapman, John Cleese, Terry Gilliam, Eric Idle, Terry Jones, and Michael Palin. So this where they came into prominence or they became famous because for this sketch comedy, and they were also compared to the Beatles also. So these are the people from Monty Python that were the troupe. So now let's get to the topic. So variables, objects, and classes. So now variable is a reference to a value stored in a computer's memory. So it is a reference to the value. Like for example, you give a reference to it that for example a is equal to 12. Now for the variable, it tells like if you point to a, so it tells it has the data 12. It has the data or the value as 12, and it can be sorted in variety of categories. Means it can, or data types, it can be numbers, it can contain boolean values, and it can contain sequences. And what is an object? It's a collection of data from computer's memory that can be manipulated, which so now you can say that all variables are objects, because some, although some objects can be defined by data referred to by multiple variables. Now what are methods? Methods are functions that tell what or their act. Methods are functions used to act on an object's data. So they describe what your object can do. Now methods are the function. For example, if your car has a function that it start or drives in the car, so that is a method and the car is the object. So next, so here a class. Now what is a class? Now class is a collection of objects. So object, as we knew, it was the collection of variables. So class is collection of objects that share the same set of variables or methods. So who share the same set of variables and methods means in objects they share the same set of variables and methods, so that is a class. And a collection of objects. So car is a class. Objects are the different types of cars. You can see like the Beetle, for example, Mercedes, BMW. So these are objects and they have different instances. So here you can see the instance 1 is that the color is pink and the name is Polo. In instance 2, the color is red, the name is Mini. And the instance 3, the color is blue and the name is Beetle. So now here is that the class, it provides a blueprint, means a map for all the objects within it or inside it. So instances. So instances, they may share the same variables, means the color, size, shape, means the variables can be same, like these are the variables like color, name. These can be same, but they cannot share the same values for each. Like means it can that if this color is pink, so this one cannot be pink, like this is different. Or if a car has, for example, it's a saloon body and the other is hatchback, so those are different. Now the basic syntax rules. As I said, the name of a variable is placed on the left of the equal operator, and most variable names are in camel case, means first word is the lowercase and the other words are capitalized, the subsequent words. But it can also appear in snake case, because in which all words are lowercase with underscore between words. So, but here is that Python doesn't care like what variable that you mostly people use is snake case, means all are lowercase. So the assignment operator, the equal, it sets the variable name equal to the memory location where your value will be found. Means, for example, when you create a variable, inside you add the inside it you add the value to it. Then what it happens is that it has a memory location, mean it has secured, like in computer, in this RAM and in this portion or in this section, this value will be there. So, and the value of your variable is placed on the right side of the operator. So as I said, on the equal sign, the left side is the variable name, and on the right side it is the value. So here you can see these are the names or these are the types. And the function syntax means what are functions, that I'll explain to you in the later, that you add the def sign, after that you add the function name, and these are the parameters. These are optional, it depends on you whether you want to add the parameters or no. But if you add the empty parentheses, then it means there are no parameters, means it won't take the value to it. And return is that is also an optional, means it will return a value for your function, but that is optional. Now I'll be telling you how to install Python and PyCharm. So of course we need some editor, so we need the Python software and PyCharm to be installed so that we can write code to it and you can start playing with the code. Now if I say Python download, okay, now this is the website which is called python.org. Now you download Python. After that, now this is the latest version for Mac OS, and if you want the download for Windows, you can see these are the stable releases and these are the pre-releases. So here you can see, and it cannot be used on Windows 7 or earlier. So now I'll start. It has been downloaded and I click on it. Okay, now you have to click on continue. After that you read this information. If you don't want it, then continue this license and everything, continue and agree to it. after that you have to click on install. So now it's installing. It's taking some time. So until that, we'll install PyCharm. These are some documentations. Okay, so let's install PyCharm. Okay, in PyCharm, some are you have to download the community edition. So there's a professional edition also, but that is a free trial and that is not an open source. But the community edition, you have to download it. So I'll click on this and it says PyCharm community. See, it is free and it's for all, and it has languages also, and what frameworks, the build tools, everything. Okay, now I'll click on download. Then no, not this one, not the professional one. It would be the community one. Okay, it is starting to download. It is taking some time. Well, it will do it fast. Some seconds left and then it will be downloaded. Okay, until the Python has been installed. Okay, I'll drag this, then I'll open it. For that, see, congratulations, Python has been installed. Okay, I'll open this and this, and PyCharm has also been installed. PyCharm, it takes, if the internet is not good, then it takes some time. Otherwise, the downloading is the one that takes time. Installing, it doesn't take time. See, some code was written already because I had that installed in my laptop. I uninstalled it and then I install it again for so you guys to see. Okay, so how to make a new project? We'll go to that in file, new project. After that, you write the name of the project. For example, if I say Python project 1, or for example, tester. If I say tester, and this is the location in which your project will be. Here it is project VENV. Now project VENV is virtual environment, and here it is saying which version do you want in Python. So here it says Python 3.10 that is detected in the system. So you can download the latest one also if you want, but this one is detected in the system. So I'll just create it, and if you want, this is window or new window. So if you want in a completely new window, or if you say this window, it will replace the project in the current window. See, it has been replaced. So here in virtual environment, you create your Python file such as new Python file. Now if you say hello, now this one has been created, and if I say print, hi. Now I have to click on run hello.py, so it will run this file. When I click on it, so hi has been printed. Now I would be telling you how to write your very first program, which is known as Hello World. You might have heard this a lot of times, that people saying that write Hello World. And why Hello World? Why not some other words? So there is some amazing history about it. So Hello World, it was that before, in the when the first language was introduced such as C, so if it became a norm that whatever first word that you write is that is hello world. So now it became famous is that when you start programming, So you write hello world, but it's not important now because you can write more things also, not just hello world, you can write synonyms of it. So let me show you here. Now these are some of the examples. These here are some of the examples of hello world, but some synonym to it. So instead of hello world, you can say as ahoy world, or hello coders of earth, greetings earthlings. Wow, the first one, it sounds like a pirate, and the second one and the third one, it sounds like an alien is saying it. And good day world, sup world. This one, the fifth one, it's like as if casually is saying to some world is the name of a person, and his friend is saying sup world. And the sixth one is hello and then your name. So hello name, it's just like random person who's saying hello and the person name. And the seventh one, it looks like an error. 404, world not found. So world has not been found, and that's why they gave an error. But hello world is not just written in Python, it is written in other languages also. Let me show you here. First, in C sharp, it uses this code. This line of code is used in C sharp. In Go, they use this. And they write so many lines of code just for printing hello world. In Java, it's this one. In JavaScript, that's easy. Just console.log print hello world. Syntax in C, this is the hello world to print it. Then syntax in C++, this is the syntax. And syntax in COBOL, identification division program ID dot hello world, hello dash world, procedure division display hello world. This looks like some kind of robot is saying, like identification division program ID hello world. Oh my god, this looks like some robot is talking to it. So let me show you in Python how it's written. You don't need to write many lines of code in Python. It's just one line such as print. You add the brackets to it, not the brackets, parentheses. The round brackets are called parentheses in Python. And then you add the double quotes or the single quotes, and then you say hello world. So let me show you. So here in PySharp, if I print hello and then space, and then if I say world, okay, after that when you click on run, yep, done. That's the hello world program, and your very first program has been written. Now I'll be telling you what are mathematical operations in Python. So you can say mathematical operations, you can say mathematical operators, or you can even say some operators that you can use in Python. So as the normal mathematical operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, these are the four basic, and I'll be adding um, some more operations that will be used in Python. So the very first is that addition. So if I say print 9 plus 4, and if I click on run, so you can see the addition operation has been performed. Now if I copy this and paste, by the way, the intelligent programmers or the good programmers, they copy paste. I'm just joking, by the way. So I'll just add the minus sign and add 8 to it. Now I'll click on run, so you can see the subtraction operation has been completed. The third is that multiplication. So if I say 2 multiply by 7, so this star represents the multiplication, and if I click on print, you can see here 2 multiplied by 7 is 14. The fourth one is the division. Now the division is represented by the bar. So let me show you. For example, if I say 6 divided by 5, and you click on run, it says 1.2. And the next is that floor division. Now what is floor division? It represents the two bar signs, and if it's a 6 bar 5, that is 1. Why it's saying it's 1? Why not 1.2? So 6, and it's a floor division which is 2 bars. 5, what it does is that it cuts out this 0.2 or something like that. It cuts out and it rounds off to the nearest floor value. So in 1.2, if you round off, the floor value of it is 1 and the ceiling value of it is 2. So the floor, so as when we round off to the floor value, so that's why the answer is 1. And the another one is modulus. And if I write as 5, it represents the percentage sign 2. 5 divided by 2. Okay, so here it happens, modulus is that when you divide two numbers and whatever remainder that you get, so that is the modulus function. That what modulus function performs. Now, so now when you do division and floor division, most of the people get confused like what is the difference between division and floor division. So in division, it's that you when you divide two values, you get the normal value. For example, it's 1.65432110. So it keeps on going or something like that. But in floor division is that it rounds off to the floor value. For example, it's 1.5 something. For example, if it's 1.5 and you round off to normally the value would be 2. But here it is rounding off to the floor value of it. So that's why the answer would be 1. So 1.5, if you round off, the floor value is 1 and the ceiling value is 2. So if it rounds off to the floor value, so answer is 1. Now I'll be telling you what are variables and how to take user input in Python. So to take a variables or to make a variable, at first you either make it snake case or camel case. Now camel case is that you add the first letter as small, like lowercase, and then the subsequent one. For example, if we say F last, so the K would be capital, or last L would be capital, LAST. Now this is a variable. Now equal 9. Now when you see this, now the F last equal to 9. So F last is the variable because it is the on the left side of the equal, and on the right side of it, it is the value. Now we can even make it as snake case. Now what to do is that we make all the words as lowercase. So if I say Gina, so equal to hi. So when I say this, and if I go on print F last, so and then I print Gina. Here if I print Gina, so when I click on run, you see here 9 and high has been printed because as it was stored in a variable. Now variable is that when you create a variable, so in the memory or in the computer's memory, so it has a specific location, that in this location or in this RAM and in this container this value would be stored, and this variable is created, and what will the value of it. And another thing about variable is that as in some other languages is that once you create a variable you cannot change it, but here in Python it's that it overloads it. For example, if I say F last, it's Python is not case sensitive. So here if I say no, it is case sensitive, because if you see here, if I make this all as small, so this is another variable. So if I say print F last, here 8 would be printed, and if I copy and paste this one and this one is uppercase, so 9 would be printed. Here you can see it's as it is case sensitive. Case sensitive in variables, like if you change the, if any one of the values or if any one of the letters in it are upper or lower case, they can be, it will treat it as another variable. And now here if you see that if I, for example, if I write this word again, F and capital last, equal to 5, and now when I print it, you see here this value has been changed. Now this variable, whatever value was here, now if we add the new value in the same variable, it has happened that it has replaced it. So as it has replaced it, so the value of the variable would be changed. So you won't get any error, but it would just be replaced or changed. That all it will happen. For example, if I say Gina equal 2, so now if I print Gina, it would say the value is 2. So you see here, you can see now Gina where variable, the value has been changed in it. Now for user input, you use the value as input and then you add it as single quotes or double quotes. For example, in single quotes I say enter value. You can write anything in it, so that would be printed in it. Now when I click on run, you can see enter a value. For example, if I say G, now it has accepted that value because I didn't add the print command, so nothing has been printed. So if I say, first I'll make it as variable. So variables can be letters also, but they cannot be numbers. They can be letters or strings. So A is equal to input, and then if I say print A, so when I click on print A and I click on run, so after that if I say Y, so Y has been printed. Now here in this, if we see in this input, there is no restriction on it. You can add a string, a boolean, or a number, but if I add the restriction of integer, it's int for integer, and if I add the bracket and if I say print A, when I click on run and if I add some other value other than integer, it will give an error because it says invalid literal. Now if I click on run again and if I say 7, so 7 would be printed. So even you can do that when for example, if there's a loop or there's a condition, you can take the input from the user and then you can add that variable. In that variable, it would be stored the input taken from the user, and that could be used for condition or loops or whatever thing you want. Now I'll be telling you about in-place operators in Python. So in-place operators is that instead of, in place means instead of. For example, how we write that if I make a variable A is equal to 9 and B equal to 4, and if I say print A plus B, and if I click on run, so here you can see the addition operation has been performed. Now if you want to like make changes in the same variable, for example, if I say B is equal to B plus 1, and if I say print B. Okay, now when I click on run, you see here the answer is 5. So in the first variable, the A is equal to 9, B is equal to 4, and then I added that B is equal to B plus 1, and when I printed B, the answer got 5 because it was replaced. Or so instead of that, you know what you do? Instead of writing this whole sentence, you just say B plus equal to 1, and now when you print B, see the answer is the same. So there is no difference. If I say B plus equal to 6, and click on run, You see here, this is the answer. So these are in place operators. These are in place operators. Now, instead of writing the whole code and taking some time, you just write this. And this is not just for addition. You can add it for, do it for multiplication, subtraction, division, modulus, and floor division. So let me show you here. If I say b plus equals to 6, b minus equal to 5, and then b star equal to 4, and it will keep on printing b. Print b. And then if I click on it, the answer is 10, 5 and 20. At first you see that 4 plus 6 is 10. It was printed 10. Then after that, if you minus it, 10 minus 5 is 5, so it was printed here. And then after that, if you multiply 5 with 4, you get the answer 20. After that, if you do that, b divided by equal to 2, and if you print b, after that you run it, you see the answer is 10, and it is giving in the form of float. So here the decimal values are called float, and it's a type in Python, and Python does not distinguish between float and integer. And the best thing about Python is that you don't have to specify the data type. It specifies the data type by itself. For example, if you add a number, so it will take it as an integer. And if we add, for example, strings, like such as in double quotes or single quotes, if we add like some characters or numbers, so it will take it as strings. And if you write some decimal value, it will take it as float. So you don't have to specify it. It will just, it is so intelligent that it will take it by itself. Now back to the topic. If I say b modulus, it's the percentage sign, equal to 4, and if I print b, after that run, see the answer is 2. The answer is 2 because this is the remainder, because in modulus that is the remainder, like you divide it and whatever remainder you get, that is the modulus. Now the remaining, if I say b bar bar equal 2, and if I print on b, so here you see the answer is 1. So these are the in place operators, and you can do it for all arithmetic operations. So instead of that, instead of writing the whole code, you just write this sentence. Now I'll be telling you about strings. So what are strings? As I said in the before, as I was saying about strings. So strings is a type of textual data that you can add in single quotes or double quotes. So anything that are inside single quotes or double quotes, that is considered a string. Whether even if you add the numbers, you add the characters, you add the letters, if they are inside or enclosed in a single quote or double quote, that is represented as a string. And I'll be telling you some more amazing stuff in the later video. So to make a string, for example, if I say a is equal to, in double quote, if I say hello, so, and if I say print a, now if I print a, so here is, it prints hello here. Now if I say hello Gina, how are you? So this is a string, and if I click on run, you see this is printed. And even if I add some numbers, like some numbers, if I add, so that is also considered a string in it. Now after that, this was in double quotes. Now I'll show you in single quotes. If I say r equal to, in single quotes, if I say hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? What is your name? So Now if I print R, okay, if I print R, I'll just copy this and paste and just change it to R. Instead of A, I'll write R. And when I click on run, so here you can see, hi, how are you? What is your name? So this has been printed. After that, you can even write the strings in triple quotes also. Let me show you how it's done. So in triple single quotes, you can do either you can add the single quotes 3 times before the starting and the end, or you can add 3 double quotes also at the start and at the end. Let me show you here. That is amazing, which I was saying. So if I say like bar bar bar, yep, the triple quotes. If I say hi, my name is Tina, I am a student. Now if I print Y, now if I click on print Y, here you can see that how I wrote the sentence, so it went to the next line. But if you, in the case of the single quotes or the double quotes, it is that if you even add the next line, for example, if I change it here, so it won't recognize it as another line. It would just be like, let me show you here. So see, it's giving an error here, unexpected thing or something like that. But in the case of single quote, this triple quotes, nothing will happen. So here it's not giving an error. And even you can add the triple double quotes, added like 3 times here also. Okay, now if I click on print, so here you can see the multiple line sentences you can write in triple quotes, whether it's triple single quotes or triple double quotes, you can write in the next line of code. Otherwise, if you wanted to make it to the next line, you would have added this one, \n, then it would consider it as a next line. So here you can see, after that, when I added the \n, so this line was taken to the next line, so it was considered as a next line. But in the case of triple single quotes or triple double quotes, you don't need to add that. That is in strings. And another thing about string is that you can also take strings as an input also. For example, if I say R equal to input, and if I say in single quotes or double quotes, if I say enter your name, and if I add some colon and then space, so when I click on, and then after that, if I say print R, okay, now when I click on run, so here it asks enter your name. So if I say Katie, and if I click on run, so here you can see this is considered a string. So this is not considered an integer. So by default, this is considered a string because before input, you have not added any integer. So this is by default considered a string. Now I'll be telling you about string operations, the operations that you can perform on a string, or methods or functions that you can use. The first one is that, before that, let me tell you that strings are immutable. Means once they are created, you cannot change it. For example, you know how people are in the code, if you write a string and if you want to replace some words in it, so you can do that because strings are immutable. Once created, you can change it. So now the operations that are used, the first one is that concatenation. Concatenation is that it is the joining of 2 or more strings. So let me show you here an example. If I say that G equal to I love, and if I make another variable called H, and if I say Python, And if I say print, so for concatenation, what you do, you just add the plus sign. So G plus H. Now if you click on run, see here, this has been printed. So I love Python. And if I add some space to it, if we add space here, so you can hear the space has been added. So I love Python. So here you can see the joining is done. And if I add, for example, more than two strings, if I say, do you also love it? And okay, when I click on, if I add I also, click on run, see here, you can say I love Python. Do you also love it? So this has been added. So this is concatenation, or you can say it's joining. So how operators, as you can say, if they were normal integers, if you add the plus sign, so it will add the two numbers and then it will give you the result. Here it is, it does that in strings, it joins them. And if I say, for example, O equal to 6, and if I say plus O, so here you'll get an error because it can only concatenate string, not integer. So here that's why you're getting an error. Now another one that I'll be using is called capitalize. So if I say R is equal to, so what it does in capitalize, it converts the first character to uppercase. And if I say Perry, and if I say print R dot capitalize, yep, this one, and then when I click on run, so here you can see the first letter of the word has turned into uppercase. The second one is that, another one is that case fold. Now case fold is that it converts string into lowercase. Now whatever words you have written, all the words would be lowercase. For example, if I write it in caps, okay. Now when I say case fold, dot case fold, now when I click on run, here you can see all the words, all the letters has been converted to lowercase. Another one is that center. So it returns a centered string. Now in this, what it does is that it takes some number and then adds the space to it, or it takes the space of that character. For example, if I add 20, so 20 characters space would be given to the string and it will be like moved after 20 characters, it will then display. For example, if I say y is equal to pineapple, and yep, pineapple, and if I say that x is equal to y dot, there are so many you can see here. So if I say the one which I want is called center, here an argument is needed, otherwise you'll get an error. For example, if I say 30, so 30 character, after 30 characters it will give you the value. And if I say print x, after that when I click on run, here you can see the space has been given of 30 characters. Another one is that count. So it returns the number of times a specified value has been occurred. So count is that what it happens, for example, if you want to count how many p's are there. So if I say x dot center or any variable dot center, and if I add the value, for example p, so it will tell 3 times it has been appeared, or 4 times, or how many times it has been appeared. So if I say say here y dot to center, and if I add some value, not center, sorry, it's count. So if I say count, and if I add the value as, for example, p in single quotes or double quotes, you have to add. And if I print x, here you can see the answer 3 has been given, because when you count it, the answer has been given. Like p has been appeared 3 times in this string. There's another method which is called encode. Now what is encode? For example, if I'm just writing some random characters, and if I say dot encode, print here. So here you can see it's a built-in method, and encode at this. So it's giving like some location, like where this method is stored, or this which object has been stored. Now another one is ends with. Now this is that if a specified, you add some value to it, and if that value is ending in the string, so it will give you the answer true, otherwise it will give you the answer false. Okay, so if I say y dot ends with, here this one, if I say it whether it ends with k or not. So if I say k, if I print x, so here you can see it's true, and if I say capital K, it's false because it's case sensitive. So if I say whether it's ending with J, so it's getting the answer false. Now the method is alnum. Now it returns true if all the characters in the string are alphanumeric, means they're alphabets and numbers. Now if I add a string here, means space here, not string, if I add a space here, so it won't, the answer would be false, because it said it should only contain whether alphabets, like the letters, or the numbers. So now nothing else, like some other character or some spaces, so that shouldn't be there. So if it is there, then it will give the value false. Now if we see it here, there is no space, now the answer would be true. And if I remove some numbers, then also when I click on run, so here you can see the value is true, because either it should be characters in it or numbers in it, so the answer would be true. If there are spaces or some other special characters, so it will say that it is false. Now the next one is that is alpha. Now it returns true if all characters are alphabets. Now is alpha, if I say this and I print on here, you can see it's true, and if I add some space, so here you can see false. So it say it should only contain letters, means the alphabets, no spaces, no nothing else, just the letters. And even if I add some numbers in it, so then also you'll see the answer is false. Otherwise, if I remove the numbers, then it would be true. Another one is lower, means it returns true if all the characters in it are lowercase. So let me show you here. Now if I say, because these are all the string operations, the operations that you can perform on a string. Now if I say Lovey or Louis, and if I say here is lower, and then you add the brackets, the parentheses, click on run, here you can see the value is true, because all the characters in it or the letters in it are lowercase. If I add like some characters are uppercase and some are lowercase, so then it would be false. Then is upper, as I said about is lower, there's another which is upper, which checks that all the characters in it are uppercase. So then it gives the answer true. If I say is upper and if I say all the characters are capitalized, so here you can see the answer is true. If I add some lowercase, the answer would be false. Another is that how it was is upper and is lower. There's also a method which is just upper and just lower. It converts it. Here it doesn't give a boolean value, it converts it into lowercase or uppercase. So the lower case, it converts a string to lowercase, and upper is that it converts it into uppercase. So if I say y dot upper and print, so here you can see all the string values are converted into uppercase. Here if I say dot lower, all are converted into lowercase. Now I'll be telling you about conditions in Python. So we use if conditions or if statements in Python, like if else, like if this happens, then this line of code would be executed. Otherwise, else this line of code would be executed. So how it's done in Python, let me show you here. So it supports some usual logical conditions such as equals, not equals, less than, or greater than, greater than or equal to. Let me show you here. For example, if I say r is equal to 8 and y is equal to 4, and if I say I add if r equal to 6 or some number, if I say r equal to 8 and then you add a colon, after that you have to write the sentence in indentation. If you don't write it in indentation, now what is indentation? Indentation is that the space that is given here, so that is indentation. Now if you don't add the space like in the inside the if condition, so it will give an error. So if I say print and the round brackets says yes, print yes. Now if I click on run, so here the answer is yes, so it means now this condition is true. So this is the equals one, so here you add the double equal sign for checking it. If it's equal to 8, then you print yes. Another one is that not equals, so which we add the exclamation mark, then equal 8. Now print yes, so here nothing would be printed. Another one is that less than. Now for example, if r less than, just less than, you don't add equal sign. If r less than y, print yes. So here nothing would be printed because this condition is false. If I say less than or equal to, if r less than, or if I say if y less than or equal to r, you add less than first and then you add the equal sign, then you print yes. Now when you click on run, you see here yes has been printed. Another one is that greater than. If I say r is greater than y, print yes. Yes has been printed. Or if I say r is greater than y. Now when I click on run, so here you can see r is greater than y, this line of code has been printed. Another one is that greater than or equal to. So if I add equal, either it's more than to it or equal to it. So you print r is greater than y. See here, it's been printed. Now, if I say, now there's another condition like if else and if elif. For example, if I say if r more than equal to y, else, E-L-S-E, else and then a colon, print no, and in double quotes or single quotes. So if r less than y, so it says r is greater than y, r is less than y, I'll just write r is less than y, or say else print no. So here no is being printed because the first condition, so if you say the first condition has not been true, so it will add the second condition. So it will check the second condition and then it will execute. And if the second condition is not true, so then also it will not be printed. So here you can add two conditions to it, for example if and else, or you can add three, and more than three also you can add. You can add more elifs. Let me show you here. If I say that elif r equal to y and then colon, and then if I print r is equal to y. Now if you see this, no has been printed, and if I change the value of r such as 8, so it will say r is equal to y. Now I can add more elifs also. So it will keep on checking unless this condition is true. It not just checks between two variables, it can check more than two variables also. If I say elif, okay, r greater than y. If I say r is greater than y, and if all these conditions are false, like whether it's less than y or equal to y or more than y, else it will print no. So here it will say r is equal to y, and if I say 90, so it will say r is greater than y. Now there's also ternary operators also. How, as I said, like you can add conditions more than the two. You can use like AND operator. For example, if I say r, y, z equal to 80. If r more than y and r equal to z, then colon, print, you have to write print, print yes or else, semicolon, just copy paste this one, print no. Now when I click on run, so no has been printed because this condition is false. Either r is equal to, r should be more than y and r should be equal to z. So then this condition would be, for example, if I say the answer is 100 and this one also I'll make it 100. So then this condition would be true. So here yes has been printed because it is more than y and it is equal to z. Or also you can do in AND condition is that when two, I'm not saying though, I'm saying I said by mistake though. Though means two. So if two conditions are like meeting the conditions are true, and then when you combine them, so and it does when both the conditions are true, then only that condition, the end result would be true, and this line of code would be executed. For example, if any one of this condition false, then this whole condition will become false. So else would be executed. And if I say or, and if I change this value as 10 and say or, and then when I click on run, so or has been printed, because in or it happens that any one of the conditions, to make the whole condition true, so any one of the conditions should be true. And there's another which is not, it exchanges or it inverts the result. So if I say and, then if I say not, add a bracket, if I say print or, so or has been printed, or are more than y. So this would be printed, because here it happens that r shouldn't be equal to z, and so this condition became true, and this condition also becomes true as r is already more than y, and print r is more than y. So in if conditions also, what you do, you can nest also. You can do nesting. Now nesting is that, like in one if condition, you can add another if condition to it. For example, if the upper one is true, then it will go to the inside one, and then to the inside one. It depends on you how much you want to add. For example, x equal to 40. And if I say print if x more than 10 and semicolon, then inside it print above 10, not 20, 10. And then also inside that you'll add another if condition inside it. Inside this if condition, you'll add another if condition, that if x more than 30, then you print more than 30, more than 30. Okay, and inside it if I say else, then colon, if I add this, print not more than 30. And if I make this the first word capital, and then if you come out of this loop and you add else, then print not more than 10. So if you add this, if you make this whole loop, so this is nesting, and when you print it or run it, so here you can see first above 10 has been printed, and then another condition was checked. If x is more than 30, then this would be printed, otherwise it would be printed not more than 30. Now if I change the value such as 20, then if I click on run, so here above 10 has been printed, and then it was saying not more than 30. And if I, for example, say the answer as 2, so it would be printed as not more than 10. Here you can see not more than 10 has been printed. There's another also, which is the pass statement. Now pass statement is that, as you know, that if statements, they cannot be empty. So if you are adding no content to it, so you just add pass to it to avoid getting the error. If I add here if I'm saying if x more than 10, pass. I'll just click on run, nothing happens. And even if it's more than 10, like the answer is 35, run, nothing happens, means it's just passing. This is happening. Now I'll be telling you about Python lists. So what are Python lists? It is one of the built-in data types in Python. And in order to create a list, what you do, you place the elements inside square brackets, which are separated by commas. So let me show you here. For example, if I say the list 1 equal to, and then there are square brackets, and then if I add some integers such as 15 comma 80 comma 96 comma 45, and if I say print list 1, after that when I click on run, you see here this list has been printed. So it is not just that you can add only integers in it, means numbers in it. You can add strings to it, you can add boolean, you can add any type. And it's not just, yeah, if you're adding the strings, so just strings you can add. No, you can add integers to it and strings to it. For example, if I add here like comma, if I say hi and then 7, then comma if I say Paulina, and comma if I say radio. Okay, now when I print list 1, you see here this has been printed. So in the list characteristics or the types of list is that once created they are mutable, means you can make changes to it. So in this list that has been created, it is not that if it's created once you can change it, but this list you can change it. So lists, they have a quality that you can make changes to it. They are ordered because they have a list to it, means some indexes are assigned to it, so they are ordered. And they also allow duplicates, meaning they can also allow the same values into it, so they allow duplicates. For example, if I write here 80, so here you can see it is allowing, so there is no error to it. Now how to access the list elements, how to do it, let me show you here. Now first of all, let me tell you about indexing. Now indexing is that some values are assigned to it in lists, even in strings they are done, so that I'll tell you in later video. So in lists some values are added to it. So here it starts from 1, this is the first index, this is the second index, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, eighth and 9. So 9 indexes has been added, but not from 1 it is started from 0, sorry. Index starts from 0, and then the second element is 1 till it is 8, I think so. Now if I say that print, then you add the name of the variable list 1, then if I say I want to access the index 6, when I click on print here, Paulina has been accessed. And if we start from here, the index, there is negative indexing also, so from here it starts from -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8 and -9. If I say I want -3, not 3, if I say -2, now click on run, so here radio has been accessed, so that is for accessing. Now you can, there are some operators or methods that you can perform on a list. So first of all, you can, how to add the elements in a list. As I said, they are mutable, means you can make changes to it. So how to make changes to it? The first method is called append. Now what does append do? So if I say list 1 dot append, there's a bracket, and if I say banana. And if I say print list 1, now when I click on run, you see here, now in this updated list, you see here banana has been added to it. So what append does is that append adds the element or the whatever value you want to add to the list, it adds it at the end of the list. So at the end of it, it will be added. So that's what append does, and it cannot have more than one arguments. It just have one argument. So you can only add one value to it, not more than one. Another is that how to change the values in it or replace them. For example, if I say list 1, then in it, for example, if I say in this index, for example, in the index 0, I want to be equal to blue. So when I print this one, you see here blue has been added to it at the first of the list. So you just have to add the index number in which you want to make the changes, and then equal, and then you add the value to it. And how to remove an item from a list, there's a method called remove, and then you add the value of the name, like the value which you want to remove. For example, list 1 dot remove, then the round bracket. If I say if I want to remove Paulina, in single quotes and double quotes you write strings, and if you want to remove a number, then you add then you just write a number. You don't add single quotes or double quotes to it. So here in this updated list, you can see that Paulina has been removed. Now, how to find the length of the list? So there's a function called len, which you use to find the length of the list. Now len list dot or list 1, and then when you print list 1, so here you can see I'll add it into a variable. So r equal to len list 1, then print r. When I click on run, here you can see 9 items are there. Now there are some more list methods. There's like to add an item, it's not just append, you can add 2 more, means 2 more methods are for adding an item. So another is that extend. It's the same as append there, but there's some difference to it. Now what is the difference to it? Let me show you here. So list 1 dot extend round brackets, and then after that if I add, for example, r is not defined here. Oh, list 1. So here 8 has been added, comma 90. So here you can see more than one values, 8 and 90 has been added in extend. The difference between extend and append is that append takes only one argument, but extend takes, it can take one argument and it can take more than one arguments, like how much ever you want it takes that. Another is that pop. Now what pop does, let me show you here. So dot pop, so if I say pop is that, so if I add some, if I say 3 and print less 1. So in pop here it doesn't take the value, it takes the index, that which index, the index of which element that you want to remove. So in pop this happens. In extend it not extend, sorry, in remove it was that you add the value like a number or anything or a string that you wanted removed, but here you add the index of it. For example, if you want to remove 45, so I added the index of it is 3, because if we start from here 0 1 2 and 3, so 45 has been removed. Another one is clear. It removes all the items from the list. And let me show you here. Dot clear. Then the round brackets. And if I click on run, so here you can see now it is an empty list. Another is that index. Now what does index? It returns the index of the first matched item. Now, for example, if I say here, as I said, index a list is duplicates, it allows duplicates. So index function, what it does now, it will go through from here. Now whichever value, for example the value that you want to find to it, the first value, for example if you're finding the index of 80, so 80 here at index 1 it comes first, so it will give the value of this one, not this one. So instead of going through the whole list, it will just go at the first and find if the value is found before, then it will add the index to it, or it will give the index of it. So if I say 80 and then print list 1, now let me add it to P and then print P. So here you can see it is at index 1. If 80 was not here, example if I would have removed 80, so now it would be at 7, index 7. Another is that it counts, like as I said before, in the before video there was a count in strings also, that you add the value to it and that value how many times it comes, so of that specified it returns it to it. For example, if I say list 1 dot count 80, so if I print, so it say 80 has come one time. For example, if I add 80 to it another time and then another time, then another time, so instead of going through the list or counting it many times, you just add this function count and it will count it to you and tell you how many times it has appeared in the list. So here it has appeared 4 times. Another is that reverse. Now what it does, it reverses the item in the list. Now for example this is given. Now if I say this one dot reverse, now here, now here nothing happens. Now if I say print list 1 and click on run, here you see that reverse function has been performed. Now 50 has come here, 50 is here, 80 is here, then radio is here, then Paulina is here, then 7 is here, then high is here. This happened, it has reversed it fully. Now I'll be telling you about loops in Python. So first would be for loop. So for loop is that, for example, if there's a line of code and you're writing it multiple times, so instead of writing it multiple times, you just add a single line of code which is for loop, and if I add it, it will go through it or it will print to it multiple times. For example, if you want to write a sentence that I love Python 100 times, so if you add for loop, that for loop this, and then print it, then it will print it 100 times for you. That will take, it will take time, it will save time, and then instead of writing the big line of codes like 100 times, so the computer will do it for you. So let me show you how for loop is done. And it iterates in a string, list, tuple, and dictionary and set. So let me show you here. In for loop, for example, if I add the variable as basket also, and if I'm writing some here, I'm adding a list. If I say, for example, if I say kiwi, comma, blueberry, it's BLUE, blueberry, and then raspberry, and then if I say pineapple, and then strawberry, and dragon fruit, dragon fruit. Now if I want to go through this list, so for I, some variable you take, for example I, R, U, any variable you take, so I have to go through it. For example, U is going through here, then here, then here, everywhere. For U, N, basket, so that you add the variable name to it, and then you add colon. After that, you give some space or the indentation, then you print U. Now when I click on run, you see here all these fruits in of basket variable has been printed here. So one by one, first it went to kiwi, then it printed, then blueberry, then raspberry, then pineapple. This happened. So it's not just for a list, you can also do it for a string. For example, if I say that G is equal to hello, and if I say for U in G, print U. So here you can say HELLO. So it first went to H, then E, then L, then L, then O. Now there's a statement which there are two statements that are used in for loop. Number one, even in while loop you use it, but first there's a break and then continue. Now what break does, let me show you here. For example, if I say for U in G, print U, and if U equal to O, then of course you add the colon also. So after that you print, now print, you add break. Now when I click on it, click on run, here you can see everything has been printed. Why it has been printed? Because it went through every word and then it has printed. So okay, now see. Okay, so when it said after it goes to O, it breaks, means this loop is finished after it goes to O. Now if I say after E, and if I say break, so after E it would finish the loop, means this loop is finished after E. Now if there's another statement which is called continue. Now what continue does, it keeps on looping. Now continue, what it does, for example, is there is a condition to it, and continue, it resets to it, it goes back to it. If I say print U, So when it's E, so it will go back to it, and then E would not be printed. So here you can see E is not being printed and all the letters are printed except E. Even if I say that in basket, if U equals to strawberry and then continue, then print U. So here you can see strawberry is not printed. So when it came to this line of code, this line of code was executed. Continue, then continue, what it does, it resets to it, and then it doesn't point, or like it doesn't go to this line of code. So that's why when it doesn't go to this line, so it is not printed. Now there is a function in it called range function. Now range function is for getting a value. In for loop, for example, I say for I in range, then round brackets, then if I say the value of 9, print I. Okay, when I click on run, so here you can see from 0 till 8 it has been printed. Now in range there are 3 parameters in it. So the first one is called the start function. So the start function, what it does, so here before 9 it's the start function, so it starts from 0. So that's why here you can see it has started from 0, the numbering. Then another is the end one. This one is the end one. Now 9, so it stops at not at 9, it stops at 9 minus 1, whatever value you'll add in the end, so it adds or it stops to it minus 1 to it. For example, even if I say here 10 and then I print it, so till 9 it would be printed. And the another one, the third variable, not the variable, the argument is called step. Now how many steps it should be, like, or it should jump to it. For example, here by default the step is 1 because it is adding 1 and it is going printing the next one, like 0 plus 1 is 1, then 1 plus 1 is 2, then 2 plus 1 is 3. For example, if I add here comma 2, then here nothing happens because it's not understanding what is happening here. Now if I say it starts from 2, then ends from 10, then it steps 2. Now it will start from 2, then 4, then 6, then 8. 2 has been added to it. That happens in range function. You can even add else in for loop. Like if you exit to this, now print, and then if I print, it says here finished. Okay, now when I click on run, so here you can see this loop has been done. Then after that it goes to the else statement and it prints finished. Now this loop has been finished, that's why it has gone to the else block, and it won't be executed. This else block won't be executing if the loop is stopped by the break statement. So if it is stopped by the break statement, so this else would not be executed. So if I say here break, so just 2 would be printed, and then after printing one thing it would break and it won't go to else. You can even do nested loops. Now what are nested loops? Like in one loop you can make another loop to it. For example, if I say for, I'll make another thing as color variable, color, then I'll add the values as green, yellow, pink, orange, then blue, then after that black. Okay, now as it's done, so here if I say for I in basket, then I make another for I in colors. It's color, not just color. So color, and then here you have to add different variable. Like if the first one is I, you cannot make the second one is I. You make it as Y or some other. Right. So if I say print I comma Y, so here it is like giving the all possibilities, like kiwi can be green, first with first, then the first with the second, then the first with the third, then the first with the fourth. It's doing that, then it goes to the second, this, so many possibilities it is printing. This is happening in the nested loop. So there's a pass statement also in for loop. So in loop it does that. For example, for I in basket, pass. So nothing will happen here. Nothing is printed here. Now I'll be telling you about while loop in Python. So while loop is that when the condition, or like when the while condition is true, then that loop will start executing. So let me show you here. For example, if I say that h is equal to 3, for example, or I say h is equal to 3, then I say while h less than 9, and if there's a colon, and then after that when I say print, and I'll say print h. Okay, now if you see this statement, while h is less than 9, print h. If I execute this loop, it will keep on going, because this condition is true as it's 3 is less than 9. So this will continue, or it will keep on going in an infinite loop. So what you'll do, you have to increment. So increment it is that you'll add that h plus equal to 1, so that when it becomes equal to 9 or more than 9, so this while loop becomes false and it stops. So let me show you here. When I click on run, first I'll show you what happens, why I'm telling you about the infinite loop. When I run this, see here, it's keep on running unless you stop it. Now I'm stopping it. Now if I say h plus equal to 1, then when I click on run, you see here at first h was 3, then it became 4 as it incremented, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8. You see here it was till 8, it was less than 9. When it became 9, so it became equal to 9, so this while loop became false, and then thus it was not executed. So if I say for example, if I have said that less than equal to 9, so it would have gone till 9. And the main important thing in while loop is that, and the difference of it between for loop and while loop is that in while loop you have to initialize, or you have to add a value to it. In order to make this loop or something like that, you have to initialize a variable. But in for loop you don't need to initialize variable. And let me show you here. If I say h is equal to 1 and h less than 9 and h more than 3, for example, now if these two conditions become true, then only this while loop will be executed. Now if I click on run, you see here it has not been executed as this loop was false. Now if I make it as 4, Now this will start executing. See, it has started executing, because means in while loop is that the condition should be true, then only it will start executing. That is the same for the for. And there are two things, and you have to increment also, otherwise it will keep on going in an infinite loop. So there's two statements that we use in while loop. Number one is the break one. Let me show you how break is done, how break statement is used. So break statement, what it does, it stops the while loop. So for example, h is equal to 4, and while h less than and h more than 3, print h, and then after that if I say if I equal to 6, then break, means I'm adding a condition here that if I become, not sorry, if h becomes equal to 6, then break this statement or break this loop. Now let me see here. Yep, see, till 4, 5, 6 it has broken. After that there is a statement called continue. Let me show you how continue it's done. Now I'm adding this, and I'll print h here. Okay, let me show you why I'm doing this. So here this loop is becoming if h equal to 6, continue. What it does, it doesn't go to this form, it doesn't go to the print, otherwise it would have printed already and then it would have gone to the if condition. So that's why what I did, I printed afterwards, so it won't go to this line, so hence it will go up and then it will increment, and if I reverse it, it won't happen. There's also the else statement, I'm saying else statement in while. How in for it was, for example, if this while becomes false, then print done. Okay, now after I finish this loop, now this loop, when it's finished, then it becomes done. And there's also another one which is called as while true. So while true, how it's done, so it is, imagine that it is true, and let me show you how it's done. So this if condition would be added here. For example, if you want to add this if condition, it would be 10. For example, if it's considered as while true, and then if h less than 9 and h more than equal to 3, then equivalent, then print h. Okay, now if I added this while true, if h is less than 9 and h is more than equal to 3, print h. It's going on an infinite loop because I haven't incremented. So here h plus equal to 1, I have to increment it. Now when I click on run, you see here it has incremented. You can also take the user input from, of course, from the user in the while loop also. So how do you do it? For example, if I say that h equal to input or integer input, because I'm taking an integer, so you have to add the integer, then input, it will put a restriction that only integer should be added, and then enter a number. So now the user would add a number. Okay, now when I click on run, so here it says enter a number. If I say 6, then this would be printed. 6, 7, 8 is printed. So that is how you can take the user input from the user in while loop. Now I'll be telling you about modules. Now, what are modules? Modules are simply files that has the .py extension. So even if this file, it can also become a module. Like for example, if I add some functions to it, some variables to it, some objects to it, and then when I import it into another file, then so this would be acting as a module or importing as a module. And there's also some built-in modules in Python. So if I show print help and then modules, when I click on run, okay, so you can see all these are the built-in modules in Python. There are so many. Okay, there's so many modules in Python. So there's one, whenever if I want, there's one module which is called math, and if I run this, so it is telling about what are the functions in it, and they have the truncate, they have the sqrt, the sign, and remainder. Okay, now if I import, for example, if I import math, import math, and then if I say y is equal to math dot sign, so sign, what they do, let me see. Okay, so returns the sign of x measured in radians. If I say 5, run it, nothing is happening because I haven't printed it. So if I say print y and I click on run, you see here this is the sign of 5. And if I say sign 90, click on run, yes. And if I say dot power, okay, now there are two values like this to the power of this. For example, if I say 3 to the power of 8, and then when I click on run, you see here it's the value is 6561. So it is 3 to the power of 8, means 3, you multiply 3 8 times. And there are more functions such as there's truncate also. Okay, this one. And if I this 3.98, okay, now when I click on run, see here it truncating, means it is cutting off the decimal parts and just showing 3. And there are some more functions also. For example, if I say tan, yep, this one, and if I click on run, see here this is the value of the tan. So there are so many mathematical functions, you don't need to build it. So instead of building it or making it own, you just import it and then you can do it. And okay, so if I'm making my own module and I'm adding some variables to it, for example, the variable name is p1 equal to, and then I'm adding some flower brackets to it so that I can add some values to it. For example, if I say color and then colon, and then I'm adding the value to it, For example, if it's blue. Okay, now if I'm saving it, my save as. Okay, okay, it already exists. Now if I make another .py file, new .python file, and if I name it yo, okay, if I say import hello, now, and if I say that a is equal to p1 dot no hello dot p1, then I'm adding some square brackets, and if I say color, if I print a, now when I click on run, so here you can see blue has been accessed. As how I said, when I made a flower bracket, in that I wrote color and the value of it is blue. So when I said here I imported this hello file, and then in a variable I added hello.p1 because this was the variable name here, p1, and then I said color in round in square brackets. So after that, when I printed a, so this was shown, so color blue was shown. So this is how you make your own module. And if I say, for example, if I import some other, for example, date time, import date time, and then if I say s is equal to date time, you can import it also as a name. For example, if I say as dt, and then you don't have to write the full date time, you just say dt dot time, I write time, and if I print s, when I click on run, see here this is the class datetime dot time. And if I import, for example, platform, then this is also module. So x is equal to platform dot system, because this is some function in it in platform. And if I print x, click on run, so here some name has been of the system. And you can even find more about this module by saying print, then help, then you give the request in double quotes such as platform. Now what is this? It's a module. Okay, now you see this, there's a data, there's versions, there's uname, there's system alias system. So it returns the system name, whether it's Linux, Windows, Java, and if the empty string is returned, so if the value cannot be determined. So this is a function, it gives the system name. So I was using this system, so it gave the system's name. Now I'll be telling you about errors and exceptions in Python. So errors are the problems in which, due to which the program will stop it, or because there's an error in it, or there's a problem in it, that's why it will stop it. It won't start the execution. Means it will, in which line it will have the error, so at that time it will stop the execution. But exception is that, like some internal events, they're trying to change the flow of the program. Like normally the program is flowing, so it is trying to change the internal flow. Like for example, how you divide by 0, so you get the answer as, normally if you say, the people say it's infinity, but in computer it gives an exception. So there are two types of errors in Python. The number one is syntax error, and the number two is logical error. Now syntax error is that the computer tells you that in this line, in this code, and in this part, this is the error. Means in this line you have the error. But logical errors, they are hard to find. For example, it happens that even in website it happens that when you write the code and after that you see the website is blank, there's nothing in the website, so you find that there's some error going on, but you don't know what type of error, so it's hard to find. So there are two types of errors, syntax and logical. Now let me show you what is syntax. Now if I say there is a variable x is equal to 100, and if I write a code that if x more than 60, print x. Now when I click on run, I got an error. Now there's a syntax error. Why? What it said that here there should be a colon. So that's why the error is given. And let me show you what are logical errors. Now if I say print x divided by 0. Now if I click on run, you see here there is a 0 division error. Division by 0 means you can't divide it. So this is a logical error, or you can say this is a logical error. And if, for example, if you don't import something, for example, if I don't import math and I start using the function of it, a is equal to math dot sign, and I write some value 5, and when I click on run, so import error, name error, see name math is not defined, nothing is defined here. So these are some of the errors. There's assertion error, attribute error, import error. And for example, if I import some module, let's say import R, for example. Okay, and if I say D is equal to R dot main, yeah, okay. Now when I click on run, you see here module not found error. So this error came and it's a logical error. And there's also a name error in which, for example, a variable is not defined. Now if I say f is equal to d dot r and click on run, and this remove this is equal to d. When I click on run, so here name error, see name d is not defined. Now I'll be telling you about files in Python, or how to handle files in Python, such as you can read it, you can write it, you can add, append, or whatever you can do. So let me show you how it's done. First of all, Python has, not Python, the files has some advantages. File handling has some advantages in Python, such as it is flexible, means it allows you to work with different file types such as text files, binary files, CSV files. It is user friendly, means it gives a user friendly interface, and it is also versatile, means it allows you to perform a wide range of operations such as creating, editing, writing, renaming, or deleting files. So here I made a txt file which is known as gina.txt, and I wrote some sentences here. What I did, I clicked on it and right click new file, and then I named it as gina.txt. And here I wrote it as, hi, I'm Gina, how are you? I am a character. I love books and movies. My favorite color is blue. So now, in order to access the file, first I'll open it, such as f is equal to open, and then here you write the name of the file. So I'll say gina.txt in single quotes or double quotes. So I'll make it as single quotes, comma, and then I'll make it as a read-only file. So I'll write R. Now, and I'll make a loop to print the file in it. For I in F and then colon, print I. Now, when I click on run, you see here all the words, all the sentences written in the file. First it opened it as a read-only file, and then in a loop I printed those sentences. So these sentences are printed here. Now if we wanted to read it, I can make it as print f dot read. So if I click on run, see here, these words are read here. And now you can also use it. You can use the with statement to open and then read the file. Now if I say with, and then you write the command open, then after that you make it the round brackets, the parentheses, and then you write the name of the file, gina.txt, then comma, I'll make it as a read-only file because R stands for read. After that you add a colon to it, otherwise you'll get an error. And then I'm making a variable which is known as O equal to and you know what I'll do, I'll make a variable to it as J. So J dot read, and then I'll print it. So print O. Now when I click on run, you see here all the sentences are read from. Now you can also, okay, I can also do that. I can just read, like for example, the first 4 characters on it. So hi I, so 1 2 3 4, that's why it is taken as 4. The 4 characters are read. And if I say 30, so these words are read. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26. I think it would be because of the spaces also around it, that also will be counted as 30. You can also split also the lines in it. First you'll read the lines, you make it as read lines. This is another method. And then what you'll do, you will add a for loop in it. For I and O, and then I'll make another variable word equal to I dot split. So these words would be split. Okay, now I'll print word. Now when I click on run, see here all these are separated. Now line by line all these are separated and made it into a list. Now how you can create a file using write function. Now for example, if I'm saying y equal to open, the same would be used. and then I would add the name in single quotes or double quotes, Gina dot txt, and then I'll make it as write, means it would be W, and then after that you're writing file dot, not file, it's y dot write this is the end. Then I'll copy paste this again. I say good bye. When I click on run, see here nothing is happening. Why? Now when you write it, then you have to close the file also. So y dot close. Okay, now when I click on run, so this actions perform, and you see here this has been written in the file. Now this is the end. Goodbye. Okay, now how to open? With width, as I said, how it's done, how it's done for read, the same is done with width. So you'll add width, then open, then the name of the file, which is Gina dot txt, and then comma W, and then you add the name of the variable as diary. Okay, now you'll add a colon also. After that you'll say diary dot write, then say hello, then you'll close it. Then you see here hello has been written. So in this with function you don't need to write the dot close. Now how append mode works. Now you see how append does. So you'll open it such as A as diary, then you'll write the sentence, and then you'll close it. Now close it. Okay, so what it does, so in write it was doing that whatever sentences you write, so it was just replacing the sentences written in the file, already written in the file, it was replacing those, and it was adding the new words that we write. Now in append what it does, it doesn't replace, so whatever sentence is written, it just adds it to the end of the line. So this is what append does. Now I'll be telling you about dictionaries in Python. Now before how I said about lists in Python and strings in Python, so dictionary is also another data type or data structure that stores value in key value pairs. Now how it's done, let me show you here. For example, I make a variable called as h1 equal to, and then in a flower brackets, or you can say these are curly brackets, and in that, for example, I'm adding the first as name, and then colon, and then double quotes or single quotes, it depends on you if it's a string, or if it's an integer you don't need to add double quotes or single quotes. If I'm saying name, Yasmin, okay, Yasmin, and here there would be also comma, then I'll add age, then colon, then double quotes, no need for double quotes because I'm just adding an integer, 19, then comma, that height, okay, 5.6, then comma, qualities, and After that, I'm adding a colon, and then I'm adding a square bracket. In that, I'm writing chubby and foodie. Okay, so here, why I added these things, I wanted to show you that in dictionary you can add different types of data types, such as you can add a string in double quotes or single quotes, you can add an integer, you can add a float. Floats are decimal values. You can even add a list in dictionary. Now the dictionaries, the quality is that they are changeable, means mutable. You can make changes to it. They are ordered. They are ordered means if you add this, this is the key, this is the value. So if I take the name of a key, so it will give the value of it. They are ordered, but they do not allow duplicates. Means if I add another key to it, it won't allow it. So that's what a dictionary does. Unless it was that they can allow duplicates, but dictionary does not allow duplicates. Now if I say print H1, I'm going to click on run. You see here all the dictionary H1 has been displayed. Now how to create a dictionary? See, using the flower brackets, you add a value which is key, then colon, and then you add key, then colon, and then the value. You can also use it, you can also use dictionary keyword to make a dictionary also. Now let me show you here. For example, if I add this, if I make this as an empty dictionary. Okay, now this is an empty dictionary. Okay, after that I'm using that another keyword, that G is equal to H1, or I'm using the same variable. Inside that I'm using a dictionary keyword DICT, and then in the round brackets you add, in the flower brackets you add the values such as 1, and then in double quotes I'm writing hello, and then comma 2 world. Okay, now when I print H1, see here this dictionary has been created. You can also use nesting in the dictionaries. Now let me show you here. For example, if I say that 3, and then inside that you can make another dictionary. How? Let me show you. I'll add another flower bracket inside it, and then I'll say 4, and then I'll use the word nice. Okay. Now when I click on run, you see here another, like this is the key and this value is dictionary. You can also add elements to a dictionary. Now to add elements to a dictionary, you can do this, that H1, then if I'm saying 0 equal to high, then if I print H1, okay, so this 0 has been added at the end of the list. So this first value that you will add in the square brackets, that is the key, whether you can add strings to it or integers, and after the equal sign, this value that you add, this is the value of it. Now if I add some more, such as H1, and then if I say Tommy, and then equal, if I say some value as 6 or 5, and then if I print H1, after that click on run, you see here this has been added. So this is for adding. Now for deleting, you add the value as delete. There's a word called deleting using del keyword. So for example, if you want to delete something, I'll use that del keyword. Then you add the parentheses, the round brackets, and then you'll add the name of the variable, which is h1. And then inside that you add the name of the key. Now which key do you want to be deleted, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 0, or Tommy. For example, if I want to delete Tommy, so Tommy, and then when I print h1, you see here Tommy has been deleted. That is how you delete elements using del keyword. Now to access it, what you do that print h1 and then you add the key name. I'll add 3, then that a dictionary or a value of it has been printed. In nesting, how do you access it? Let me show you. I add 3 and then I'll add another square bracket that I'll add the value key, which is 4. So nice will come. Yes, that is how you access dictionary using the nesting. That is how you access it. Now I'll be telling you about tuples in Python. Now this is the last data type in Python. Before it was the last dictionary tuple. No, this is not the last, it's the second last. There's another one left also. So tuples, what is done in tuples, it's a round bracket, means the parentheses are there, and instead in that you make it and you add the values to it, such as you add strings, you can add boolean, you can add integers, it can be of any data type. But the thing about tuples is that it can allow duplicates, but they are not changeable, means once created they cannot be changed, means you cannot make changes in the tuple. So if I say, for example, jk equal to, and I'm making a parentheses, round brackets, and if I say red apple, comma 78, comma huge, comma 89, comma 90, comma 45. Okay, now this tuple has been created. And if I print this, if I print jk, after that when I click on run, see here this tuple is printing. You can also use the tuple constructor to make the tuple. So how do you do it? Add that jk is equal to tuple, you make this, you add the parentheses, and then what you do that you add another parentheses, then add the values. Example, Gina, comma Tina, and then comma Kate, comma Mitsuki, comma Nagi, comma Sunashi. Okay, now this tuple, and when I print jk, so all these names are added in the tuple. Now the thing you can do, you can access it, or you can use like the length to find how much values are there, like the number, it counts it for you. So len and then JK says the number is 6. And it can also allow duplicates. So if if I add the name of Kate another time, it will allow it. Yes, it allows duplicates. It won't give an error. If I print it, see here, Kate has been added another time. Now I'll be telling you about sets in Python. Now sets in Python, now this is the last data type, which is iterable, means you can iterate through it. You can use a loop such as for loop or while loop to iterate through it. They are mutable and has no duplicate elements. Mutable in the sense is that some people say it's not mutable, but it's not changeable. They are mutable, means you can make changes to it, but you cannot. Unchangeable in the sense about sets is that, for example, once you create, so that elements you cannot change it, but you can add it, but you can add another element to it, and you can delete it. So this is what sets does. Now what is set? If I add t equal to, it's a curly brackets, and then inside that you can add strings, booleans, integers, you can add it, and it does not allow duplicates. Even if you add the word true and 1, it will consider it as duplicate and it won't accept it. So if I say hater and book lover, okay, now this is a set. If I print it, print t, and I click on run, you see here this set has been created. After that, we can add in the set, and we can also make the set using the set constructor. So we add set, then you add the round brackets parentheses, then you add square brackets to it. After that, what you do, you add the values such as a comma 9 comma b, and then when I print t, click on run, you see here this set has been created. Now after that you can add also. So if I say t dot add, then I add the value that what you want to add. If I say 90, and then if I print t, after that when I click on run, you see here 90 has been added. So here 90 has been added here. And we can also access it. So if I say print t and the value name you add. Let's say a. Oh, they're not subscriptable. So they're not subscriptable. And there are some methods of set, such as you can add, as I already said. You can also do the union operation on it. Now let's make a set a comma b comma c. Now I'll make another variable u equal to round brackets d comma e comma f. Now if I say, if I add an element such as u union, If I say R is equal to T dot union, then add the value of U, so that if I print R, I'll print, it's not double P, it's single P. Now, when I click on R, you see here these values are added to it in the set. So the union is done. After that, you can use the intersection operation also. So if I add some common value like such as A, if I say T dot intersection U, see A has only given, because in both these two variables A is only the common word. And we also use clear method, which empties the whole set. Now how do you do? You use the clear function. You just use clear function like T dot clear, then when you print T, it clears it. So this is done, nothing is given here. Now I'll be telling you about functional programming in Python. So what is functional programming? Functional programming is the programming using functions, and its main focus is what to solve rather than how to solve. And it uses expressions instead of statements, and it's a declarative programming paradigm. So it has recursion also, means there are no for or while loops in functional languages. Iteration in functional language is implemented through recursion. And what is recursion? That I'll be telling you in the later video. And the variables are immutable, means you can't modify a variable after it's been initialized. So let me show you how a function is made. For example, if I make a function, it starts with def, def, and if I say para, okay, and then I add the parentheses. After that, you add a colon to it. When I say a is equal to 3 plus 8, and if I say print a, now what is happening? Now this is a function which is created. Now to access this function, what you do, you simply add the name of it. So what you do, you go outside this, you say para, and you add the two round brackets to it. When you click on run, you see here 11 has been printed. So this is a function which has no arguments. So here it has no parameters or arguments. But if you want to add parameters to it, so for example, if I'm saying num1, if I say 3 plus num1, and to access it you say para, and then you add the, in the brackets you add the number. For example, if I say 7 8, this number I'm adding, for example, and if I click on run, see here this number has been added. So this function has been accessed. Now if I'm, for example, if I'm taking a number and if I'm making a loop for I in num1 and then colon y is equal to append what to do. So I'll append the before that I have to make the empty list. So I'll just add y is equal to square brackets, and if I say y dot append and then I star star 2. So if I add some values, para, then I add some numbers such as 6, 8, 8. Then when I click on run, see 1 positional arguments but 3 were given. So you have to make a round bracket and then you have to add the values. Okay. Now when I click on run, you see here nothing is happening. Why? Because I haven't added any print. So I have to print it also. Print. What to print? num1. No, y. I'll print y. See here? So you see here, all these has been added. So first value, it was multiplied by, or it was taken to the power of 2. And you can also do that instead of a, you just get out of this loop. So that will be the one answer. Recursion is that it keeps on calling the function by itself. So to do that, there is one example which is known as the Fibonacci series or the sequence, which is famous. So let me show you here. For example, if I define, use the function def, and if I say recur, okay, and I'm taking a parameter as x and colon. After that, what you do, I'm adding a condition that if x less than equal to 1, that this, of course, it will return by itself. Return in a sense, it means that this won't be executed. So return x. So that else, what we'll do is that we'll return means if x is less than or equal to 1, just this value which is less than or equal to 1, it will be given. Now if I say return, then what it will happen is that the function that I've selected, recur, in that I'll add x minus 1 plus recur x minus 2. Now I'll do this. Now let's see how it's done. If I take this recur as 9, okay, nothing is happening because I'm not printing anything here. Instead of return, I'll just say, see, when you say return, what you do, you have to print it. You'll make a variable, then you have to print it. For example, s is equal to, then print s. Now when I click on run, you see here 34 came. Now 34, how it came is that it added, means first it was 0, then 1, then 1, then 2, all the way till 34 was added. And another is the factorial. Now factorial is that it will do that it will just multiply with it by itself, like multiply x star recur x minus 1. Now when I click on run, see here the factorial of 9 is 362880. And if I say the factorial of 6, 720. So the answer of factorial 6 is 720, means 6 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2, means it will keep on going. For example, if we give the value as 6, so 6 multiplied by 6 minus 1, which is 5. Then it goes here, it becomes 5. Then 5 multiplied by 4. Then it goes here, it keeps on going and going unless it becomes 1. And if I add the value as 1, what happens? The value will come 1. Simple. Now there are some more functions in Python, such as map, lambdas, filter, generator. So let me show you. Just remove this, and then what I'll do is a function called map. So map function, what it does, it returns the list of elements after applying the given function to each item. So let me show you how it's done. For example, there's an addition function, addition, and in that you take it as x. After that, it return x plus x. Okay. Now if I'm taking some, return x plus x. Okay. Now when I click on run, not run, enter. Now if I'm taking some numbers such as num equal to, I'm taking a tuple as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll make res, res, and then I'll map this. I'll map first the function, because in map function you first add the addition or the name of the function. Then after that I'll add comma the numbers. Numbers mean num. Okay. So that I'll print res and click on run. See here, map object, add this. So here it's telling you the value. And then if I'm, for example, if I add a loop, like for res1 in res and then a colon. After that I'll just print res comma, and ends I'll add a thing which is end equal to, I'll make a space in it. When you click on run, so many times it's coming here. So for printing the values, it says you in the map function you print end okay. If I add this, or you can even do this, like print x plus x. Okay, So I'll just remove this print thing. See here, nothing is happening because I'm not printing anything. So after that, I'll print res to that saying map object something. So for r in res, then print r. Then see here, values are coming, such as 2, 4. And I'll just return this. Return x plus x. Okay. Now it's not showing that. So what it was happening, I was by mistakenly printing the res. So I should have printed r. So all the values which are added, you can see here. Plus e means 1 plus 1, then 2 plus 2, then 3 plus 3, then 4 plus 4. So map function is doing. Now the filter methods, it filters a given sequence with the help of a function. Now let's check. Now for example, if I'm adding vowels, then I'm taking it var to that colon. I'm saying as let equal to, I'm taking a list, for example, a comma I comma AEI comma O comma U. So I'm taking these letters and then I'll add, what I'll do, I'll add an if function, that if var in let, means in let, if var is in let, then what to do will return true, will return true, otherwise else. Oh, I wrote this wrong, so it's return return. Okay, else return false. Okay, now as I've said this, I'm giving some sequence or some var. So some, not var, some another sequence like seq is equal to and I'll make such as G comma U comma L comma K, the inverted commas or the single quotes. Okay, now when I added the sequence, then we'll use the method filter. So I'll use another filtered equal to filter, then I'll add the function name, which is vowels, then comma, I'll add the sequence, which is seq. After that, what I'll do, I'll print it. Print the filter is, then after that I'll make a loop for I in filtered, and then colon. After that I'll just print I. Okay, when I click on run, you see here the filter is, oh, I wrote it by mistake, filler. It's not filer, it's filter. Okay, when I click on U. So here you can see that the filter is U. So when they matched it, U is same. And if I add some more, like such as A, no, it would be A and U. Yep, these are the ones which are filtered. So this is the filter function. Now lambda function, what it does, it can have any number of arguments but only one expression. So what lambda function does. Now if I write, for example, a value called square, a variable name called square equal to, then I'll write lambda, then I'll write x, then colon x, after that star, then x, after that I'll just add the colon, then x. Okay, so now I'll just print I'll add it second time because this is for the cube, so this is for the square. If I add print square and 6, when I run, see here the answer is 36, and if I say 90, the answer is 8100. So this is for the square. For the cube, it would be 3 times, like you write some variable like such as x, then colon, and then you make a function. If I go for add 78, would be 156. So this is a lambda function. There's also a function which is called generator. As I was saying about generator in Python, not the generator Rex, just the generator in Python, and how to create the generator in Python. It's a function in Python. So you'll just write def, def, and then write a function name. For example, if I'm saying a function name as add, and then I'm adding the parentheses, after that you add the colon. That is how you make a function. And inside that, instead of how we used to write return, we use the value as yield. Now yield statement, what it does, now it's a keyword that when you add yield, Python recognizes it as a generator function. Now if I say yield, and if I say some for statement, then what I'll do after that, I'll print the add function. Now for example, if I say s is equal to add, okay, and then after that I'll print s. After that, when I click on run, here it says generator object add at this. So I'll just use, I have to print x, but x is not defined here. So to say there's a next function also, like next s, because s I've added the function, then I use the next, then you can see 4 it has been printed. Now what does it do? Now this is what yield does, and if I add more values such as yield 7, yield 80, then when I keep printing it, for example if I use this, so the first statement would be printed, and if I keep on adding this code, if I add this 3 times, so all these values will be printed, like 3 times this value would be printed. This is in generator. You can even use the for loop in this. For example, if I say for I in S, then colon, print I. And when I click on run, you see here all these values has been printed. So this is the generator function in Python. Now I'll be telling you about object orientation or object oriented programming in Python. So what is object oriented programming? So already we know that Python is object oriented and it has objects and classes. So class, you can create it with the keyword class, and object, everything in Python is object because it has properties and methods. So let me show you how it's done. First, I'll create a class called cat or just a number num. After that, you create a colon. After that, what you do, I say that x is equal to 7. Now this is a class. Now how to make an object, what do? I say, for example, I'm naming it as, to create a project, for example, I'm saying at r1 equal to num, then the round brackets. After that, if I say print r1 dot x. Now when I click on run, you see here 7 has been printed. Otherwise, if I don't say anything, it won't say it. So you have to specify it, that inside the class which one do you want to print it, so that it can give the value of it. So 7 has been printed. Now there's a function called init function, which is the dot dot init, then dot dot, and then you add the parentheses. Now for example, there is a class as person, and you add the round brackets. After that, you add the colon, so that you initialize the function using def, and then the init. Here you can see this is the function. Okay, now this one, and inside here this self is mandatory, but after that I'm taking some 2 parameters such as name, age, and height. After that, what I'll do, I'll add the, using self, I'll add it. Now self dot name equal to name, and I'll just add all this. Self dot age equal to age. And then after that, self dot height equal to height. Now all these are added, means these are initialized. Now if I add an object such as p1 equal to person, then I have to add the parameters to it, like such as the first one was name, so if I say Kate, second was age 78, and then I have to add the height also, which is 5.9. okay, now these are added, and if I print, so I have to specify it, that what I have to print, whether it's the name, it's the height, it's the age. So print p1 dot age. You click on run, you see here, oh here by mistake I wrote this. Okay, now when I click on run, you see here 78 has been printed. So this is init function. It is called automatically every time the class is used. So this happens. Okay, there's also the str function also. Now what str it is returning of a string, and then there are some object methods also. Now inside I'll make another method, for example diff hello, then the round two brackets, of course, after that the colon, and I'll just print my name is, after that you add the self dot name. And how you add the plus sign, because in the strings you do concatenation, so self dot name. Okay, now when I click on this, print p1 dot hello. Okay, now when I click on run, you see here my name is Kate. So here nothing is happening. If I just say p1 dot hello, so this would be printed. So my name is Kate. If I add some space to it here, so here some space is given. So this is the self parameter and the functions inside it. So this is the you can also modify the age also, like such as, how do you modify it? For example, p1 is equal to person, then if I say, if I want to make changes, so I'll do p1 dot age equal to 23. I'm going to click on run. So this has been changed, and if I say print p1 dot age, I'm going to click on run, you see here 23, the changes has been done. You can also delete the objects. So deleting the objects, just say del p1. That's it. That is how you delete. Or if you want to age property, you want to delete the age property or height property, so you'll just say del p1 dot height. So this has been deleted, and if I say print p1, nothing is shown because it's not specifically. So if I say p1 dot height, so nothing has happened. See, it has no attribute which is called height because it has been deleted. Now I'll be telling you about inheritance, as already before, as I said about classes and objects. So this class has been made. So how inheritance is used. So this is the parent class, if you say. And if I make another class known as teacher, and inside what I'll do, I'll add the name of the parent class. So I'll add this person name here. So this is now a child class. Of course, I'll initialize it also. Like I'll use def initialize. I'll just add this, copy paste, and make some changes in it. Now in it, is name, age, and height. Okay. So if I say height, class, no, not class, classes. Okay, classes also, and if I add this self dot classes equal to self dot classes equal to classes, and I'll add one more which is called salary. If I add the salary, so it would be like self dot salary equal to salary. Okay, now then I have to initialize the parent class also. So what I'll do, I'll write inside this person dot this init, and then I'll write all the things, these things which I've taken. So because I'm taking the methods and attributes will be taken from the parent class, so all these I've imported. Now for example, if I, so now when I say person, this will be given if I say p2 and equal to teacher, then you add the name. For example, the first one would be the name, so I'll add Yara, then comma, I'll add the age 67, comma, because all these attributes we have imported from it. The height would be 6.7, comma, the classes are 45, and then comma, the salary is 67,000 or 670, 67,000. Now here I'm saying print p2 dot height or age. Okay. Age, sorry, let me write it here. So p2 dot age, see here 5.9, the height has been displayed of p1, and this for the second one the age has been. And if you want to display this, if you want to see all this, the name, the age, the height, what you have to do, you have to write the name of the class or the variable in which you have added the class, then dot display. So dot display, but this is a method which you have to add it here also, that def display, and then I'll write the prints like here, like the name, the age, the height, print self dot name. Actually display is not a built-in method, we are just making it display. So name, then age, then height, so self dot age it would be printed, and then fee. Then I'll copy paste this print self dot height in here, which is not for p2. If I say p1 dot display, you see here everything is displayed like 878 5.9, so this is displayed. What if I do it for p2? I don't think so, this method is here. So let me see this function, will it work for p2 or no? Yes, it is working because it's a child class, so that's why it's taking all the methods or all the functions in the parent class. So it can take all the methods, like you know the features, it can take all the features. Even if I say that p2 dot hello, and instead of display we'll just say hello. When I click on run, you see here my name is Yara. So this is what inheritance does. So inheritance, it takes the qualities of the parent class. You just have to write the name of the parent class in the parentheses so that it can take all the methods, but you have to import all the qualities it has, such as the name, age, height, or whatever you have written. So you have to import it, such as you have to write the name of the class, then dot init, and then you have to write all this so that you can import it. There's a built-in function in Python which is called super function. So instead of just writing this class name, you can add the super function, and then you have to remove the self also. Super, the parentheses, and then you delete this self, and then when you click on run, you see here it's working. So this is super function is doing. And I can write the more names also. If I say p2 dot add, not add, sorry, dot height, I can change the values, that 3.9. okay, when I click on run, and after that when I print p2 dot height, okay, when I click on run, you see here the value has been changed for height. So you can change the values, or you can even delete it, such as if I say that delete p2 dot height. When I print, it says that it has no attribute height. So this one, as it would be deleted, so that's why it has no attribute in it. So that's all for my side. Thank you so much, and do subscribe and like my video. Thank you.